Mom, why did you do that in the coffees?
Because I made a little tea this morning. Gosh, good morning, guys. Hope you're off to a great Monday so far. I'm just sitting here with Trace. We're having peanut butter toast with a little bit of jelly. He's upset that the jelly's on top, but I explained that's the way it has to work. Just one of those little lessons in life, right, Trace? I'll tell you what gives you perspective in the morning. Lysol, the smell of Lysol. Any mom knows that. I think if everyone just took a whiff of Lysol in the morning, I'm not suggesting sniffing. I'm just saying it sort of gives you an idea of how to prioritize your day. That's what we did this morning, right, Trace? Yeah. You know what? It's going to be a great week, you guys. It's going to be a great week because we're going to get a lot of information. I don't know what we're going to learn yet, but there's going to be a lot of information coming our way, and that's great news. It's like there's going to be more light shown on different topics. Again, what we see, we can't predict, but I'm always excited when I see weeks like this. So you have Congress back in session. You have a lot of folks testifying on Capitol Hill. You have folks talking about the economy. You have people talking about drug prices. You have President Trump's former attorney that's going to be speaking in open and closed door sessions. It's just going to be a lot of interesting topics discussed and a lot of things that can affect you. I think the economy is the big one, obviously. So we'll be paying close attention to testimony about that. We're also going to get some economic data on how well the U.S. economy is doing, how well it did last year and how well it's doing this year to start off. And of course, you have a lot of things happening around the world. You have President Trump leaving today to go to Vietnam to have his second summit with North Korea. And just be careful about expectations. It's like any big event, even in your life, where, people are excited about something that happens and then right before it, they're like, well, it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's an expectations game. So no one really knows what we're going to see. There's going to be a lot of talk about what the future of North Korea looks like and what does denuclearization look like, because so far that's been the rub after the last summit. What sort of concessions does the United States need to make, if any? What does it really look like in North Korea? But I want to give us some perspective on the news that we're seeing today, just in proximity. North Korea, the stakes are high because we don't want to see a nation like North Korea with nuclear weapons. They have them. We don't want to see them with the ability to strike the United States. We don't want to see their friendships with other countries that are not friends of ours. So, our safety and security is the priority here when it comes to North Korea. However, what's happening in Venezuela potentially has, I don't want to say greater impact, because what can be greater than a nuclear weapon used on the United States? But it has a significant impact that can be easily overlooked. And if you do one thing today, I'll try to show you today. I'm sitting here with Trace, we're hanging out. Take a look at where Venezuela is on the map in South America. Because I think when we think of South America, you think, well, it's like way far south. But I charted the distance in flight between Austin and Caracas, Venezuela. And it's shorter in distance than the distance in flight. Sorry, a call came in from one of those horrible spam numbers. I mean, you guys, at 7:30 in the morning, do they know what we're doing? Anyhow, getting back to that, I think it's really important. It's the proximity of Venezuela to the United States, but most importantly, to understand anything that happens in Venezuela, it's this single fact. Venezuela has the largest known oil reserves in the entire world. That's bigger than Saudi Arabia. We say known oil reserves because it has to do with the technology we have and the information we have right now. Of course, that information can change. So some people, so we say largest known.
I ate this one up.
You did? We eat the second one?
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, here's a lesson about oil. It's not, people think, oh, it's just about these big trucks and giving gasoline to us. I mean, look at what's going on this plate. You have peanut butter kept in a plastic jar. You have jelly that's made in a glass jar. Both of those things are transported to the grocery store, probably through a big truck using oil. The plastic in this plate, or the plastic made holds some of your items in your refrigerator. We're talking about petrochemicals. So what happens in Venezuela matters to the world oil markets overall. It has the potential to impact the world oil market. So that's another reason why Venezuela matters, besides just simply the humanitarian crisis that we're seeing there. Over the weekend, we had some protesters die in Venezuela because they were trying to support humanitarian aid getting into the country. So what does poverty look like in Venezuela? You're saying 9 out of 10 people are in poverty. So think about that. 9 out of 10 people are in poverty. And for the last several years, many have not been able to get really simple basic goods, unless you are able to afford them. And I was looking at the news in Venezuela, just thinking, how did we even get to this point? Like, why is Venezuela under a socialist dictator? Like, how did that even happen? And two things I learned. Now, I'm not an expert on Venezuela, but here's some things I learned just simply by studying for a couple hours yesterday. Venezuela, the discovery of oil happened in the early 1900s. One point throughout the history in Venezuela, early on, they had absolutely no control over any of their natural resources. So almost 100% of the oil market was under foreign control. So imagine what that was like in Venezuela. You're like, wow, we hit oil. This is amazing. And then you get no benefit from it. So a lot of what you've seen over the years as different leaders have come to power is a reaction to that and making sure that doesn't happen again. Now, that's not an excuse to descend into socialism. People have different opinions on socialism, but here's how it happened in part. Hugo Chavez was democratically elected in the 1990s. And as the years went on, he grabs more power. So, instead of just saying, okay, if you're going to operate in Venezuela, half of your profits have to come back to the Venezuelan government. He started nationalizing banks. He started taking over private land. He took over the media. And this happened not just overnight. It happened over a course of several years and through many elections. That's something I think it's important to think about. You think, well, people just come to power in these states. They just sort of grab the power. No, the people actually give the power up in some of these circumstances. And that's one of the things I learned from Venezuela just looking at it. Now, what happened now is there's a lawmaker. Thanks, Trace. I appreciate that. There's a lawmaker that was elected, Juan Guaido, who says that based on the Constitution, he's the interim president because of the way that the election was just done last year and that Nicolas Maduro is not the legitimate president. The United States and dozens of other countries have recognized him. Of course, not in Venezuela because Nicolas Maduro, the dictator, is holding on to power. So while President Trump is flying to Hanoi, Vietnam for this major North Korea summit, our vice president is flying to Bogota, Colombia, where he's going to be meeting with leaders from Central and South America as well as others to kind of decide what to do. What do you do? What can we do? That's a huge question. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that military force is on the table. Nicolas Maduro says countries used humanitarian crisis to legitimize military intervention. I mean, guys, I don't know if we're going to be sitting here talking about military intervention in Venezuela, but I would say the situation is serious there. And I think countries like the United States see an opportunity. You get a socialist dictator who's friendly with Russia and the folks that aren't friendly with us that are directly to our south in a strategic position and think this might be an opportunity where we don't want this leader in power. He's bad for the people. They're starving. They don't have medicine. There's a real humanitarian crisis. There's people that want democracy. We stand for democracy. So I'm just kind of rifling through some of the reasons why this is something that our country is paying attention to. So that's just a little background about, why is Venezuela in this situation? Why does it matter to us? Again, we're talking about huge impact in the global oil markets. You're talking about a country in strategic positions to the United States who's friends with countries that we're not friends with, like Iran and Russia. And so these are the strategic reasons about why it matters to America. So I just wanted to give you that little kind of overview of what's going on there because I don't want us to lose sight of it. Okay. I think that's enough for today. One thing I want to get you guys just to look at real quick is I did an interview with Dr. Daria. Remember, she's the author of Mom Hacks. She's our doctor here that's given us a lot of great quotes and stories over the last year, and she wrote this amazing book called Mom Hacks. Anyhow, we had a conversation that I put out over the newsletter for YouTube and podcasts on this weekend. But I saved one of her quotes to put out for Monday because I think it's a great thing to think about this week. Just a little singing. What I love about Dr. Daria is she uses science to back up her also like something that's a little bit more emotional. So she did that in this quote that you're going to see and potentially hear is, we become what we see. You are what you see. And that science proves that we can train our brain to sort of recalibrate and think about the world in a different way, depending on whether or not we're focused on the negative or the positive. It's fascinating. She's hilarious, and she's also fascinating. So you have a chance today, if you're taking a walk, going to the grocery store, listen to Dr. Daria, take your questions about everything from diet fads to vaccinations to how to stay healthy during the winter to how to stay positive. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you do too. Okay, guys, have a great day. Lots of big things coming up. I'm excited for the week. Appreciate your support, by the way, over the weekend for our newsletter and on all the well wishes for year 1. Now we're in year 2. It's back to work, guys. No more celebrating. You know what I mean? Just a little PB&J, Lysol, a little tea. We're ready to go. Hope you are too. Have a great day.